Now, in an interview, World Bank President Ajay Banga shares his approach to accelerate climate financing, trimming project timelines, and enticing the private sector giants into the development landscape. We take you through the highlights. Listen in.
That there isn't enough money in governments and multilateral banks alone. You do need to get the private sector involved. So I think about the World Bank's role as sweat your own balance sheet. Do as best as you can with that. Make sure that you create the credibility for the developed world to want to put more capital to work with you. For that, you have to become a better bank. You have to be quicker, faster, more focused on impact, less focused on input.
Now, with a background rooted in finance as the former head of MasterCard, Banga is not just focusing on speed but also on boosting lending capacity and recognizing the need for private sector involvement in the fight against climate change. He has revamped the bank's mission statement to include a strong emphasis on climate issues.
I think people in the global south recognize very well that you cannot fight poverty without fighting climate change. The only difference is, what do you mean by climate change? The developed world tends to speak about climate change as mitigation. The developing world tends to speak about climate change as adaptation, because they see the climate change impact on them in terms of irrigation, rainfall, soil degradation, loss of biodiversity, forestry cover, that kind of thing. Whereas we in the developed world tend to talk about climate change in terms of carbon emissions. That's the real difference.
Now, Ajay Banga is also spearheading a mission to overhaul project financing timelines. Currently averaging 27 months for the first disbursement, Banga aims to slash this period by 1/3 within the next few years.
Sure.
The bank itself said in its recent statement that in many countries you'll need $2.4 trillion per year.
The fact that it takes 27 months from starting a project discussion to the time sometimes, on the average, that the first dollar goes out the door. And one of the tasks that we have set ourselves in a more tangible way is to bring that number down. If I can bring it down by 1/3 over the first couple of years, that would be pretty good. The G20 expert group, which put out a report some time ago, would like to bring that number down even further over the next few years. But let's start with 1/3. That would be a good thing.